If your workplace pension has been quietly underperforming for years, you may never have known, because until now, there's been no simple, standard way to compare it against anything else. That's about to change. I'm Angela Rose, and today I'm explaining the new value for money rules being introduced for workplace pensions, what they mean for your retirement savings, and when they'll actually start affecting you. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Angela Rose, and this channel is where I take confusing pension and financial policy and turn it into something clear enough to actually act on. Today's topic is the new Value for Money framework, a joint effort between the Department for Work and Pensions, the Financial Conduct Authority, and the pensions regulator. In simple terms, this is a major overhaul in how workplace pensions will be judged, compared, and held accountable. And it directly affects the roughly 80% of UK workers who save into a workplace pension through automatic enrollment. By the end of this video, you'll understand what this framework actually does, why it's being introduced, when it takes effect, and what it could mean for your own retirement savings over time. Let's get into it. Main Section 1. What the Value for Money framework actually does. Let's start with the core idea, because it's simpler than the name suggests. Right now, if you're enrolled in a workplace pension, and most people are automatically enrolled without making an active choice, there's no consistent, standardized way to know whether your pension scheme is actually performing well compared to others in the market. Some schemes focus heavily on keeping costs low. Others focus on investment performance. Some offer better service and support than others. But there's never been one clear, comparable measure that puts all of this together in a way ordinary savers, or even employers choosing a scheme on your behalf, can easily understand. The Value for Money framework is designed to fix that. Under the new rules, pension providers will be required to publish a standardized set of metrics covering three main areas: investment performance, costs and charges, and service quality. Based on these metrics, each scheme will receive a public value rating using a simple color-coded system: red, amber, light green, or dark green. Here's the part that matters most for you. If a scheme is rated poorly, meaning it's delivering weak value relative to its comparators, the provider or trustees running that scheme will be required to either improve it or transfer members into a better performing arrangement. In other words, this isn't just a transparency exercise. It's designed to have real consequences for pension schemes that consistently underperform. It's also worth noting what's driving this shift in philosophy. Historically, much of pension regulation focused heavily on keeping costs down, on the assumption that lower fees automatically meant a better outcome for savers. But regulators have acknowledged that the cheapest arrangement doesn't necessarily deliver the best long-term performance. This framework is meant to widen the lens beyond just cost, to genuinely ask whether your pension is delivering good outcomes overall. Now let's talk timeline, because this is exactly the kind of policy where the details matter, and where I want to be careful to separate what's confirmed from what's still in progress. This framework has been developed gradually through several rounds of consultation between the FCA, DWP, and TPR, dating back to an initial joint consultation in January 2023. Most recently, in July 2026, DWP and the FCA published a further joint consultation, seeking feedback on refined proposals, with that consultation period running until the 1st of September 2026. Based on the information currently available, the FCA expects to publish its final policy statement and rules in the first quarter of 2027, and DWP intends to publish its response document, along with final regulations, around January 2027, subject to parliamentary agreement. From there, the rollout is being phased in carefully, rather than applied to every scheme at once. Larger pension arrangements, including master trusts and large single-employer schemes, are expected to begin completing formal value for money assessments from 2028. The framework is then expected to be extended to all remaining in-scope schemes from 2029 onward. I want to underline something important here. None of these dates are final until the relevant consultations close and the regulations are formally confirmed. This is still, technically, in the policy development stage, even though it's progressed a long way and has strong institutional backing across 3 major regulators. If you see headlines suggesting this is already fully in force, that would be getting ahead of where things actually stand. It's also worth knowing what's excluded from scope. Based on current proposals, certain arrangements like executive pension plans and self-invested personal pensions, along with schemes that are in the process of winding up or transferring out all their members, are expected to fall outside this framework. The primary focus is on default and quasi-default arrangements, meaning the pension setup most people end up in automatically through workplace auto-enrollment, rather than schemes where individuals have made highly active, bespoke investment choices. Let's bring this back to what actually matters to you personally. If you're one of the millions of people enrolled in a workplace pension through auto-enrollment, and you've never actively reviewed how your specific scheme performs compared to others, this framework is ultimately designed with you in mind. Over the coming years, as these ratings become public, you and your employer should have a much clearer, standardized way to see whether your pension is genuinely delivering good value or quietly lagging behind comparable schemes. Here's my honest, personal take, not official advice. Even before these rules take full effect, it's worth asking your employer or pension provider directly about how your scheme's costs, performance, and service quality compare to others in the market. You don't have to wait until 2028 or 2029 to start asking these questions. Second, if you're an employer or you're involved in choosing a workplace pension scheme for others, it's worth starting to familiarize yourself with these metrics now, since demonstrating regard for value, not just cost, is clearly the direction regulation is heading. Third, keep an eye on official updates from the FCA and DWP as the consultation closes and final rules are published, expected around early 2027. I'll be covering this here as those confirmations come through, since the exact metrics and comparator groups used could still shift somewhat based on industry feedback. And finally, if you're already concerned that your current pension might be underperforming, you don't need to wait for this framework to check. You can request performance information directly from your provider today, or speak with a regulated financial advisor about how your scheme compares to alternatives. Let me step out of reporter mode for a moment and share my honest take. In my opinion, this is genuinely one of the more consumer-focused pension reforms we've seen in a while, precisely because it targets a real, long-standing blind spot. Most people never actively chose their workplace pension, and most have no easy way to know if it's actually good. Giving savers a simple, standardized rating system, similar in spirit to energy efficiency labels on appliances, strikes me as a sensible way to create real accountability in a market where, frankly, most people are relying entirely on someone else to make good decisions on their behalf. That said, I gently caution against getting too excited too soon. The rollout here is genuinely gradual, stretching from consultation now through final rules in 2027 and full implementation not landing until 2028 and 2029 for different scheme types. This isn't a change that's going to show up on your pension statement next month. Based on the information currently available, I'd recommend treating this as a positive long-term direction, not an immediate transformation. Quick recap before we close out. The Value for Money framework, jointly developed by DWP, the FCA, and the pensions regulator, will require workplace pension schemes to publish standardized ratings covering investment performance, costs, and service quality, with poorly performing schemes required to improve or transfer members elsewhere. Final rules are expected around early 2027, with larger schemes beginning formal assessments from 2028 and full rollout to all in-scope schemes by 2029. If you're in a workplace pension, this is a framework worth watching closely over the next few years, even though it won't change anything on your statement immediately. Call to action. That's today's update. I hope this gave you a clear, honest picture of a genuinely important reform without overstating how soon it'll take effect. As always, for decisions about your own pension, please speak with a regulated financial advisor or check official guidance from the FCA and DWP directly. If this video helped you, please hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who rely on their workplace pension without ever really knowing how good it is. Subscribe and turn on notifications too, since I'll be covering the final rules as they're confirmed in 2027. If this video helped you, please hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who rely on their workplace pension without ever really knowing how good it is. Subscribe and turn on notifications too, since I'll be covering the final rules as they're confirmed in 2027. Let me know in the comments, have you ever actually checked how your workplace pension compares to others? I read every comment, so let's talk about it down there. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Angela Rose, and I'll see you in the next one.